What's up, legends? Benchmark Bets is back, and today we're locked in with 2 NFL picks. But that's not all. I'll take you through some leans that I like in both NFL games. So buckle up, I've done the homework. Let's hit these and stack these wins. So, before we jump into today's plays, let's do a quick recap from Thursday Night Football and what a night. 2-0, sweep, baby. We had Kyren Williams over 55.5 rushing yards. He only needed 3 quarters to cash that one. Then we had Jackson Smith and Jigba over 6.5 receptions. Took him until OT, but he got there in the end. The crazy part was, he only had 1 reception at halftime. Smashed it in half a game. And don't forget, our leans have been smashing it too, so make sure you're always checking those out as well. So, for the first pick, I'm looking at Tank Bigsby over 11.5 rushing yards, and here is why. So, Barkley takes most of the rushes. However, I feel like this week's going to be a bit different. I expect the Eagles to be in control for most of the game, and with the playoffs around the corner, they most probably rest Barkley and give Bigsby more opportunities. When Bigsby has had 4 or more, when I can find it, when Bigsby has had 4 or more rush attempts, he is over this line in every game, averaging 51.8 rushing yards. Plus, the Commanders play man defense at the 14th highest rate, and Bigsby is averaging 7.42 yards per carry. Also, recent RBs have been smashing their prop line, going over in 4 out of the last 6 games with a 28% average difference. So not only going over, but smashing the line as well. Even if this game stay close, I can still see Bigsby playing way more attempts today compared to his usual games. Also, I am doing a ladder play on this one, so I'm also taking Bigsby for 20 rushing yards and also 30 rushing yards, splitting 2 units between the 3 plays. So, for the second pick, I am looking at Caleb Williams over 31.5 pass attempts, and here is why. Now, I know he's a bit thin on the receivers this week, with Odunze and Burden both out. That might actually play into our favour. The Packers defense has been slipping lately, and the last head-to-head matchup, Williams threw 35 pass attempts. The Packers allow the 11th most pass attempts to opposing quarterbacks, and they bring pressure at the 4th highest rate. That tells me Williams will need to get the ball out quickly and often. Whether it's a completion or not, that still racks up attempts. That's exactly why I'm targeting attempts instead of completions here, just because Odunze and Burner are out. If they were in, could be a different story. That's why I'm going attempts. So, that's it for today's plays. However, still got the leans to go through. So, with the first lean, going back to the Eagles and Commanders game, and I'm going with Marcus Mariota under 18.5 pass completions. So he's only hit this in 3 out of the last 10 games. In the past 6 quarterbacks have gone under their line. Pretty bad, actually. Except for Love and Prescott, who are nearly there. However, I don't put Mariota in the same league as those two. Also, against bottom 10 defenses allowed for completions, he's only over this line in 1 out of 3 games, averaging 13 completions. Love the under for this one. Then with the second pick, staying with the same game, going with Devonta Smith over 56.5 receiving yards. Had a quiet game last week, playing only 52% of snaps, just 36 snaps in total. So I can see him getting more action here. He lines up mostly in the slot receiver. He mainly lines up as a slot receiver, where the Commanders give up the 7th most receiving yards to. Even if the Eagles run away with this, I can definitely see him getting a bit more opportunity today and a bit more game time just to get up his strength for the playoffs. Like I was saying with last week, when he only had 52% of snaps, he did get 50 receiving yards from 2 catches. So I can see him taking at least 3 to 4 catches here and going over 56.5 pretty easily. Also, the Commanders play man defense at the 14th highest rate, and Smith averages 1.57 yards per route run. Again, those numbers really don't light me up, but I can still see him going over this 56.5. And with the third and final lean, I'm looking at DJ Moore over 43.5 receiving yards. With Odunze and Burden out, Moore is going to be the clear number 1 receiver. The Packers play zone defense at the 3rd highest rate, and Moore averages 1.55 yards per route run. Also, recent wide receivers have gone over their line in 6 out of 15 games with a 24% average difference. That doesn't sound too good. However, in the last game, all the Broncos wide receivers went over pretty easily. So I can see that definitely happening here again. Was looking at his receptions for over 3.5, but it is heavily juiced. So when Moore has had 4 or more receptions in a game, he's over this line in 5 out of 7 games, averaging 54.7 receiving yards. Actually, there is one more pick I also want to go through, is Loveland over 43.5 receiving yards. Pretty much the same thing as before with Odunze and Burden being out. I can see Loveland getting a lot more targets today. When they were both out last week, he averaged 65% of snaps, taking 43 of them. Got 5 targets, 4 receptions for 63 yards. I can see something pretty similar happening today. They don't allow many receiving yards to tight end specifically. However, he runs the inline slot at the he runs the inline slot 48% of the time, and the Packers give up the 7th most receiving yards to inline receivers. You can see a lot of quick passes from the Bears today, especially with the Packers' pressure, and Loveland should be on the end of those catches or more. So I like both to go over their receiving yards. So that's pretty much it for today's picks and leans. If you're loving the content, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. If you made it this far, huge thank you. It really helps push the video out through the YouTube algorithm and gets it in front of more people like you. Good luck with your bets, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Laters.